Welcome to the broadcast. I'm Elaine Reyes. Argentina has one of the smallest Chinese communities in Latin America, but it's also one of the fastest growing. New links between the two countries are being formed every day in the economy, culture, and on the streets. Just last year, Chinese Premier Wen Jiabao met with Argentine President Cristina Fernández de Kirchner in Buenos Aires to reaffirm their relationship. America's Now correspondent in Argentina, Daniel Schweimler, shows us that if you look around, you'll also see the population of mixed Chinese and Argentine heritage growing.
This is Buenos Aires, just 2 or 3 blocks in an affluent, bustling commercial neighborhood of the Argentine capital, where two very different cultures have met and are merging, expanding and developing. This is the entrance to Buenos Aires' Chinatown, or Barrio Chino. Not all the Chinese who come to Argentina choose to live here, but it is the spiritual, culinary and cultural heart of Argentina's Chinese community.
The second neighborhood in receiving tourists on the weekend.
Gustavo is part of that community. He runs Dang Dai magazine.
We believe that, the economic relation between Argentina and China is very strong, and what my partners and I thought is that strength in economy must go to culture too. So we started a magazine on that, and that is the main reason.
At the heart of that economic relationship is soy. Argentina is the world's 3rd largest producer after Brazil and Paraguay, and about 1/4 of its exports go to China, mostly to feed their cattle. But there is also Chinese investment in Argentina, in telecommunications, railways, wind energy and more. Gustavo's father, Bin Yip, who came from Hong Kong, was involved at the start of that relationship, one of the first Chinese arrivals in Argentina as part of a work crew building a factory in the early 1950s. He met and fell in love with Gustavo's Argentine mother, Celia Maria Lorenzo, and stayed.
They felt people received them very well, very well. So my father remembered the first times in Argentina as a very happy time. Also, he was 17 and most of his partners were about the same age. So they were young people, and it was 1954. It was a time of youth.
There were too few Chinese immigrants in those early days to even call themselves a community. Argentina is a land of immigrants, mostly Italians and Spanish, but also from Germany, Britain, Russia and more. More recent arrivals have come from nearby countries like Bolivia, Peru and Paraguay, and from China, the country furthest away, and perhaps with the language and the culture most distinct from their adopted nation. New waves came from the 1980s onwards, firstly from Taiwan, then mostly Fujian province, with a few from Guangdong and Sichuan. Current estimates put the Chinese community at anything between 60 and 100,000. Hugo Wu arrived in the early 90s and knew very little.
Más que nada, fútbol. Y sé que Argentina es un país muy lejos de China, y lo que más famoso es Maradona en ese momento. Por eso muchos no sabíamos.
Hugo is the director of a trade magazine called Horizonte Chino and works with many of the companies in Argentina's Chinese community. China is Argentina's 2nd largest trading partner, with business worth up to $15 billion a year. Hugo says it's easier now, but the early days were tough.
Por ejemplo, chino viene acá cuando no entiende idioma, no entiendo las leyes, no entiendo la costumbre, no entiendo cultura. Entonces cualquier inmigrante nuevo, cuando llega a este país, tiene su problema de primero conocerlo, después hay que estudiarlo. Pero para chinos a veces falta esos pasos para que pueden más cerca entender este país. Entonces el conflicto viene de falta comunicación.
Anna Cuyo came to Argentina more than 20 years ago as a young girl from Taiwan and now runs the Argentine Chinese Cultural Association.
I remember when we when we went through the migrations there in Taiwan at the airport, the officer asked, where were you going? We were going to Argentina. What for? This was a country without the toilet paper. I don't know where he got the news from. Actually, at that time, Argentina was much more advanced than Taiwan. But that was the, the comment that we received. What for? That was a country without the toilet paper.
Members of both communities have been working to get to know one another.
I decided to create this cultural association, this Chinese Argentine Cultural Association, with this idea of helping, to bridge up, to connect the two communities.
All seem to agree that language lies at the core of many of the problems in integrating and understanding one another. And there are now classes run across Buenos Aires for both Chinese to learn Spanish and increasing numbers of Argentines who want to learn Mandarin. And even for those of Chinese descent in search of their roots.
Our parents, they have not been very strong in imposing a tradition and a culture. Many of us are looking for that. Like in my case, I'm asking my father all the time, what does it mean that I'm Chinese?
Pablo and Susana Zhong are Chinese language professors who also translate classic Chinese literature into Spanish. They're from Sichuan province and arrived in Argentina nearly 20 years ago looking for new opportunities.
Sí, muy difícil. Una época muy oscura, sí.
Muy oscura, sí. Hay mucha dificultad y sobre todo cómo sobrevivir. Es un tema, un desafío para nosotros. Cómo sobrevivir y no hablamos el idioma. Y así que trabajamos desde, los trabajos muy básicos. Por ejemplo, trabajamos como moza en restaurantes, como mayoría de los inmigrantes, ¿no? Pero luego, poco a poco, la situación cambió. Sí. Pero nosotros también cambiamos un poco.
Pablo and Susana teach at a number of universities in Buenos Aires, and to no one's surprise perhaps, they are never short of willing students.
Ahora tiene muchas empresas que necesitan personas que hablen chino mandarín para su negocio. Así que tiene la demanda. Así que los alumnos sí aprenden con todo entusiasmo. Y también hay otro tipo de alumnos que no están interesados en hacer negocio. Solamente ellos estudian idioma para acercarse a la cultura china.
Pablo and Susana's children are the new Argentines. 19-year-old Zhong Suyupu was born in China. His 15-year-old sister Victoria in Buenos Aires. So are they Argentine or Chinese or both?
Mi hijo siempre chino. Mi hija dice que a veces no sé dónde me pertenezco. Sí, tiene 15 años, pero piensa estas cosas. Por supuesto, por la sangre, ¿no? Por la sangre que posee.
The most visible face of the Chinese community in Argentina are the supermarkets. There's an estimated 15,000 convenience stores on many streets in Buenos Aires and increasingly the rest of the country. Some provide a little taste of home, but home for some is still a long way away.
Primero los padres, de seguro.
Sí.
Padres, amigos, parientes, ¿no? Ahí, porque Argentina es realmente muy lejos. Realmente muy lejos. Para regresar a visitar no es fácil, especialmente para nosotros profesores, ¿no? Que no hacemos negocio y, no es tan fácil.
Extraño, sí, siempre extraño, porque es un país lo que yo nació. También es otro país que viste, como yo vivo ahí con jóvenes, tengo amigos, también tengo compañeros de trabajo, de estudios ahí. Pero Argentina es otro país para mí. Yo tengo negocio acá, también yo tengo mi trabajo acá, entonces Argentina es muy importante para mí.
The Chinese New Year celebrations here are a huge attraction, bringing in tens of thousands of people, both Argentine and Chinese. Artist Luo Yuwao, who died in 2007, was also an early Chinese immigrant to Argentina, combining artistic techniques from his homeland with influences from his adopted land. Symbolic, perhaps, of the evolving relationship between two very distant and distinct cultures.
Daniel Schweimler in Buenos Aires, thank you for that report.